Yesterday, we learned about a whistleblower, a nurse, working at a Georgia Immigrations and Customs Enforcement ICE facility, leveling, honestly, ghastly allegations, chief among them, that women in that facility, migrant women, say that a doctor was performing unauthorized hysterectomies on immigrant women detained at that facility, which, again, is privately run. Now, you might have seen this story zipping around social media, understandably. And the allegations come from a formal complaint that was actually filed with the watchdog at the Department of Homeland Security. And the whistleblower is on the record, is named. Her name is Dawn Wooten. She was employed by that detention center. And along with those unauthorized hysterectomies, the complaint also alleges the facility lacked protection against coronavirus for detained immigrants, and that detainees suffer from a general lack of medical care. We've been chasing this story all day along with some of my colleagues here at NBC. Tonight, we can report a lawyer named Benjamin Osorio, representing women at that very facility, told NBC News that indeed 2 of his clients received hysterectomies they believe may have been unnecessary. And tonight, we here on All In spoke with another attorney who represents 2 different women who claim they also had unnecessary hysterectomies while detained at this facility. That lawyer tells us that as many as 15 immigrant women were given full or partial hysterectomies or other procedures for which no medical indication existed. Now, we reached out to ICE with these accusations. They sent us a long statement disputing these allegations and the implication that detainees are used for experimental medical procedures. They do say an independent office will investigate these claims. ICE also says that since 2018, only 2 individuals at the facility were referred to certified credentialed medical professionals for hysterectomies. Of course, the referred is the question here. I should also tell you, NBC has also reached out to the private company that runs this facility. While they are not commenting on the specific allegations, they say they have a strict zero-tolerance policy for any kind of inappropriate behavior at their facilities, and they refute any allegations of misconduct. Now, the nurse behind that whistleblower complaint who got this all started is Dawn Wooten, and her lawyer, John Whitty, join me now. Dawn Wooten and John Whitty, it's great to have you both. Thank you very much. Ms. Wooten, I want to start with you and just ask you to tell us what you did. What was your job at this facility? When did you start working there?
I was first employed at Irwin County Detention Center in 2010. I've been to this facility on three different occasions. I returned in 2014, worked until 2016, came back in 2019. I was a nurse there, a medication nurse. I worked 6A to 6P. We did total detainee and total inmate care were my responsibilities there.
You talk about in the complaint a hearing from women who are detained there, talking about a specific doctor performing hysterectomies, referring to him as a uterus collector. Tell us about how you heard about this doctor and what women said about their experiences with him. You have detained women. I had several detained women on numerous occasions that would come to me and say, Miss Wooten, I had a hysterectomy. Why? I had no answers as to why they had those procedures. And one lady walked up to me here this last time around between October of 19 until July the 2nd. And she said, what is he? Is he the uterus collector? Does he collect uteruses? And I asked her, what does she mean? And she says, everybody that I talked to has had a hysterectomy. And you just don't know what to say. I mean, I don't have a answer for why that they would come to me and they would say, is he the uterus collector? How would you describe the standard of care, the general sort of medical environment in which these migrants were detained? The standard of care wasn't timely all the time. They would have a procedure to where they would fill out forms to be seen. Those forms would be shredded. They would be told in area instances that, there's nothing going on with them, just on numerous occasions. And as a human, you just don't treat people inhumane.
I have a title as a licensed practical nurse, and I protect my title with dignity, to where I was raised by you treat people as you want to be treated. The sanitation, especially during COVID, the sanitation was horrible. We didn't have anything to sanitize with. We didn't have the proper PPE. So they didn't have the proper PPE. They didn't have anything to sanitize with while they were down in the dorms as well. And when you ask, you would be reprimanded.
Did you have cases of COVID in that facility? What were the steps taken to deal with it as the outbreak in the country happened?
When we first had the first case of COVID there in the facility, it was COVID is not here in the facility. Then we had another case and it was like COVID was not here in the facility. We had several more cases and it was like COVID was not here in the facility. You know, there was not a proper separation of those detainees whenever they come in. You know, there's a 14-day incubation period. You know, they weren't separated. You know, whenever you question and then you didn't have the proper PPE, I admit I refuse. I have sickle cell. I have kids that have underlying conditions as well. They're asthmatics. So the protocol was not being followed. It was not properly reported to the health department. It was not properly reported to the CDC, nor was it properly reported to LaSalle.
You were essentially demoted, as my understanding from the complaint, right? That from a full-time employee to sort of a more kind of at-will swing employee. Your contention is that that was essentially punishment for your statements about the unsafe environment you felt there, your resistance to working when you had symptoms. Is my understanding correct there?
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Woody, you look like you want to say something. What do you want to say?
Well, I did want to jump in and say that Ms. Wooten has been a vocal, critic of the conditions within the facility for many months, and the most recent retaliation of demoting her was, to some extent, was just a buildup of all of her internal whistleblowing over the course of months, and especially since the beginning of COVID.